This video is going to be about Angela, the Spawn comic book character, is now going to be a permanent part of Marvel Comics universe. And she's going to premiere at the end of the Age of Ultron event. And this is one of those kind of like only in comic books, right? Angela is a character created by writer Neil Gaiman and artist Todd McFarlane. This was way back in the early 90s. What happened was McFarlane reached out to various creators back then and, just talked to them to help, build up his book. And one of the characters that him and Neil Gaiman made was Angela. And this is probably a decision that Todd McFarlane regrets all these years later. And they worked together as probably comic book friends when they made Angela. And they were thinking about comic books and that, right? And then the business aspect entered. And McFarlane used the Angela character in various books and action figures and things. And Neil Gaiman, he wanted the percent profits of the character usage. And long story short, they spent over a decade in a court battle about ownership, about who gets what in the character. And it was divided 50-50, saying that Neil Gaiman got half and McFarlane half. And from what I read online, and it's probably true, because the court case got settled, and supposedly Neil Gaiman owns 100% of Angela now, and McFarlane don't. And it's really a injustice, and I'll talk a little more about that in a minute. But here's my take on what happened. Again, I don't know this, just my opinion. Probably because McFarlane was ordered that he owes probably back pay to Neil Gaiman for the character usage over the years in the comics and other related media, that maybe he owes him millions of dollars. That's what the court said he owes, right? And so maybe just to get it over with, even though he didn't want to, McFarlane probably said, you know what, if I don't pay you back the money that I supposedly owe you, you could have the character complete and just don't bother me anymore with this topic and we'll call it even. And maybe that's what happened. I don't know. It seems logical. Something like that could happen. And Angela will be a part of Marvel, but Joe Quesada will redesign the character. I know she had Spawn earrings, but how much of the costume are you going to redesign? If you redesign the character completely, it's like a totally different character in a way. And the funny thing is, I remember an article about Eric Larson. He's another Image Comics guy. And he had a good point in that Angela, as a creation, when the character was created, it was created to work in the Spawn world. Angela is a Spawn hunter, and she's an angel, and, Spawn's a demon. And the interaction is that Angela, as a creation, only exists in the Spawn world. That's it. It's a work and a creation that fits that universe. It's not an independent character existing on her own as a creation. And the best way I could explain it is, let's say, the Punisher, he existed first in Spider-Man, but he is a totally independent character. He does not fit in the Spider-Man world. He has his own history that does not tie into Spider-Man. He's his own character and can exist on his own. But the Green Goblin exists only in Spider-Man's world because, as an opponent, he was created as an opponent to Spider-Man, and that is where he fits in the Spider-Man world, the Green Goblin. He does not exist on his own. And the point that Eric Larson was making, and I do agree, is that Angela was created to exist only in the Spawn world and Todd McFarlane and in his comic book universe. And so how could you say Neil Gaiman owns 50 or even 100% of a character that was designed to fit specifically in this world? If McFarlane did not build the Spawn world, then Angela would not exist. If anything, McFarlane should have more ownership than Neil Gaiman did. And you see, that's the point I was trying to make about the Punisher and the Green Goblin and how they fit in Spider-Man's world, one of them and the other doesn't. And the same thing with Angela. This was a creation who's just based off of to interact in the Spawn world. It's not even an important character, really, to be honest. Is there a huge demand for Angela comic books and fans craving more appearances of her? And yet, if two creators would fight this long and this hard for over 10 years in court just for this one character, could you imagine the court battles for other characters that are far more important in the comic book world? The business end of comic books is very messy, and it's not fun, and we like the characters that exist, but the real world, when it gets in there, it's a total mess. And I'm sure McFarlane probably regrets that whole thing for reaching out all those years ago, asking him to make a character and working with him on that. And that's my thoughts on the topic. What's yours? Subscribe, and talk to you later.